What's up guys, it's Day for my second long form video that I'm doing, and it is about the book of Genesis. So last week's no, it's not about Genesis, it's about Exodus. Last week I did Genesis. I liked doing Genesis, and I liked the long form video that I did, so I'm going to keep on doing this every week. Next week is a half term for me, so I might have to pre-record one now and then upload it next week. But if it's a little bit late, it's my fault. So, but I will still be doing the daily videos then. No, so the Book of Exodus. This was written probably around 600 to 400 BC. And this is using stories from a much earlier time because they couldn't pinpoint back then when the stories were exactly. But the Exodus was probably written around 600 to 400 BC. This is it. Why should you read Genesis? Exodus is all about God's power to rescue people. It's also about the relationship that God wants. It's all about. Well, it's also about the relationship that God wants to have with His people. It's a key part of biblical history, but more than that, it teaches us about God's power to defend those who believe in Him. This is what us Christians need to do. We need to defend our faith. People come at you with with defend. Yeah, it's hard to explain. If people come at you, coming at your faith, especially, this is to do that. You need to defend it. You shouldn't start. You shouldn't just be there and like, oh right, this person's came at me, said stuff about my faith and stuff. Big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal that this is happening, and you need to stand up about it. You shouldn't sit there, be like, don't care. People's coming up my faith. This is good. Yeah. This is what Exodus talks about. So this might be a bit of a short video today. So this is what you need to know about Genesis. So Genesis ends with the Israelites. So what I need to know about Exodus. So Genesis, it ends with the Israelites settling in Egypt under the Pharaoh, and Joseph as his second in command. However, Exodus begins with a different scene. A new Pharaoh and the Israelites are being forced into slavery. So, the book of Genesis. No, not, I keep on saying Genesis, Exodus. The book of Exodus is including with Moses, and it is Moses is a key part. So it talks about Moses soon. So a new Pharaoh and the Israelites being forced into slavery. Exodus tells of how the Israelites' miraculous escape from their oppressors and their attempt to reach the promised land. However, a journey that should have taken a few days ended up taking 40 years. And this was with Moses, I believe, in the desert for 40 years, which is a ridiculously long time. That's probably when you're setting off from 1986. You set off and you just arrive now. That is a crazy, crazy long time to be in a desert for. And this is the thing I like about Moses. He led the Israelites for that long. He led them for that long. He didn't stop. He kept on leading them for 40 whole straight years, which I find unbelievable, because you wouldn't want to sort of do that at that point, and you get to year like 2. If I'm leading people in the desert and I get to like year 2, I'll be like, but the thing about Moses, he had faith in God, and he kept on going. So it says in Exodus, we are also introduced to the 10 Commandments, as well as the tent of the Lord's presence, sometimes called the tabernacle. I've not looked into the tabernacle before, but I'm sure if someone told me about it, I would probably remember it. Don't remember it. Don't still remember it. Sort of. Where Moses and other priests could meet with God. So yeah, that's quite a fast one today. That is the book of Exodus. A bit more about Moses. Moses, even though he admitted to being shy and not good at speaking, he was chosen by God to lead his people. So this is Moses was an absolutely amazing person from the Bible, because God chooses people you don't expect. If you are at work or at school, can you imagine someone asking them to speak out in front of loads and loads of people and to lead them? Or if you're a shy person, can you imagine God asking you to lead that much people for 40 years into a desert to get to the promised land? You don't even know where it is. I have done a comedy skit about that before. Yeah, go check it out if you want, if you can find it. If you can find it. So yeah, even though Moses was shy, he was chosen by God. And this is the order it is said to have happened in. So in 1500 BC, it starts in 1500 BC. Then it goes off to Joseph. I believe this was Joseph and his multicoloured coat. Or was that? That was Genesis? Or is this a different Joseph? I think this is Joseph just leading it off. And then it's Israel in Egypt. These are the Israelites in Egypt. And as it says, they'll be... Sorry guys about that. As I was saying, about the Israelites, they were being forced into slavery, which isn't a great thing. And especially, well, I'm thinking, could you imagine God at this point? Just flooded the earth, said not to, that he wouldn't do it again. At this point, the Israelites being put into slavery, and a pharaoh is an overruling leader who isn't listening to God, I believe, and that's why Moses comes in. So yeah, as it got up to Israel in Egypt, and then we've got to Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Out of one of those three I know, and that's Moses. Aaron, I've heard of. Miriam, I think. Never heard of Miriam before. You might be screaming at the other side of the screen that I don't know who Miriam is, but sorry, I do not know who Miriam is. And yeah, I've not seen where it is before. So yeah, this goes into, after this goes into the Exodus. Is it bad for me to know? I don't know what Exodus means. I know Exodus means beginning or near the beginning. Hence the reason why it's near the beginning of the Bible and why it's called that. But I don't know if Exodus means that. I believe Exodus does sort of mean beginning and sort of around a time. But I don't, however, know if that also means that also was a person. I don't think it was a person. I'll have a check afterwards, and in the next video, if it is or isn't. Yeah. And then it goes into the wilderness. The wilderness is included when Moses took him into the wilderness. One of the greatest, well, things in the Bible. What ifs in the Bible? What if Moses didn't lead the Israelites out? What if they didn't do that? So yeah, and that goes into 1400 BC. Some people might be thinking, Jumbo, how did Moses do all this in 100-year span? Well, Moses lived for hundreds. He lived for a long time. He lived for a very long time, and he was, I believe, up there for one of the oldest in the Bible, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, the oldest in the Bible, I believe, was 696. Fact check me in the comments if I've got that right. I believe it was 900. And oh, I forgot a name. I have put in the comments what was his name. I can't remember his name. So yeah, looking back on this, I think Aaron was also quite old when he died. crazy because I believe, I'm going on a tangent here, I believe they go quite old people, they get old in the Bible because God wants to use them and stuff, but it doesn't normally work nowadays. No, nowadays, for example, I won't be living to 600 because God's using me for this. So, but yeah, that is the book of Exodus, and the next week we'll be going on to Leviticus. Not read Leviticus, not seen into Leviticus. It's going to be first time read for me and you of the summary about Leviticus. So it's a funny word, Leviticus. So yeah, anyway, that was your talk about Exodus. My name's Jumbo, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.